Welcome back, Healthy. In the last episode titled, Are You Still Talking? We looked at how much discipline Jesus exercised by only speaking what the Father commanded. And today, we're going to continue studying the word discipline, which is a derivative of disciple, and it comes from the Greek word padeo. It means to correct, instruct, or train. We're going to answer three questions regarding the word discipline. Why do we need discipline? What happens if we're not disciplined? And finally, are there rewards for being disciplined? So let's look at these answers biblically. Since God is such a loving God, why do we need discipline? Well, Hebrews 12, verse 10 says, They, meaning our parents, disciplined us for a little while as they thought best. But God disciplines us for our good, in order that we may share in his holiness. And Proverbs 3:2, 3:12 says, Because the Lord disciplines those he loves. And we know that he loves us. I'm going to tell you a quick story using this person that I will call C. We'll call her this young lady C. Now, C grew up without discipline. Her mom tried to discipline her, but the granddad lived with them, and he would always interfere and forbid the mother from disciplining C. Now, when I met C, she was a tyrant, someone who I really didn't like her. But God gave me tough people and tough circumstances to grow me, and C was one of those persons. She was my mission for several years, and now C was a churchgoer, but she only went because she felt most Christians can be easily taken advantage of, because C was a taker. She didn't know how to give. All she'd learned all her life was to take because everybody gave into her as a child. She had no discipline, and she had a predatorial personality which really made her unlikable. She was extremely promiscuous. I actually called her a trisexual because I felt like she'd try sex with anyone. Not judgy, just saying the facts. I kept praying for C and praying with C, modeling good behaviors for C, but C refused to change. Now, C started a relationship with a married man. And not only was she in a relationship with a married man, she was going to the man's home. Now, for me, that was just living without restraints because when I was married, anybody who came to my home, well, let's just leave it at that, okay? I told C that this was not going to end well. It was as if an alarm was sounding off within me for C, and I kept telling her, listen, this is going to end badly. She resisted, she didn't listen, and the more she resisted, the louder I prayed for her, and she would let me pray with her sometimes. And then it got to the point where she cut off all communication. She no longer talked to me, and I guess about a year passed from our last conversation because I'd moved on to working with someone else. And then C called out of the blue. She had contracted HIV. Now, I share C's story often because it's a great example of someone who refused discipline. And that brings us to question number 2. What happens when we are not disciplined? Proverbs 13:18 says, Whoever disregards discipline comes to poverty and shame, but whoever heeds correction is honored. And Proverbs 5:23, For lack of discipline, they will die, led astray by their own great folly. Being undisciplined in any area never works to our advantage. I am not a disciplined exerciser. I exercise when it's convenient. It's not one of my favorite things to do, so I've never become disciplined in that area, and it shows because my weight fluctuates. Proverbs 5:23 talks about death, but not everyone will die a physical death because C is living with HIV. and she slowly began to make life changes. But look at the price that she paid before she started heeding instruction. Healthy, please don't be like C, because there are great rewards for being disciplined. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful." And I want to stop right there before I read the rest of that scripture, because I am here to tell you it is painful. It's no fun. I don't know anyone who runs to say, "Discipline me." And I certainly am not the first in line when it comes to being disciplined. But later on, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. I do want God's righteousness. I can never be righteous on my own. None of us can. But it brings the peace of God when we listen to Him and His instruction and those that He sends to speak in our lives. Proverbs 19:20, "Listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise." Now, friends, developing discipline in any area is not going to be easy. But when we submit, when we take on His righteousness, His peace, and His wisdom, our lives change for the better. And that's going to wrap up this episode. Until next time, hold everyone at levels that honor you. Bye-bye.